Anna sat in the car, staring into the darkness, her mind racing. She had two choices: return to Nigeria, where her past and family awaited, or disappear into a new town, far from the pain of Bernard and Kate's betrayal. She couldn't face Nigeria yet. The wounds were still too fresh. The thought of starting over in a new place was scary, but also freeing. She could rebuild her life. With that, Anna made her decision. She started the car and drove away, leaving behind the life and memories that weighed her down. For the first time, she felt a bit lighter. Anna found herself in a small, quiet town nestled between rolling hills and endless fields. It was nothing like the city where she had lived with Bernard, but that was exactly what she needed. The town was simple, the people warm, but not overly curious. She liked her new environment and that it's just the beginning of goodness and a fresh start. And she immediately changed her looks. She rented a small apartment and made a promise to herself to use this fresh start to heal and truly love herself again. She joined a local gym, spending her mornings working out. On weekends, she'd head to the beach, letting the calming sound of the waves wash away her worries as she sat on the sand, soaking in the peacefulness. She'd treat herself to movie nights, getting lost in different stories, allowing her mind to escape from the weight of her past. Bit by bit, she embraced every moment, learning to appreciate her own company and nurture the love she had for herself. But navigating the town in the world of business wasn't easy. It was hard to find a job. Her qualifications didn't seem to fit anywhere in this small town, and for weeks she faced rejection after rejection. The few places that offered her a job, like receptionist positions in an office, quickly turned sour. Her bosses were unprofessional, always making inappropriate comments or trying to take advantage of her vulnerability. Each day at work felt like a battle against unwanted advances, and Anna began to question whether she had made the right choice in coming here. This wasn't the fresh start she had dreamed of. It felt like she had traded one nightmare for another. And she wasn't sure how much more she could take. The frustration mounted, but Anna was determined to survive. One day, as Anna stepped out of the restaurant, the cool evening breeze brushing against her skin as she walked toward her Uber. Dinner had been pleasant, another solo night meant to clear her mind. It had been months since she decided to start over in this new town, far from the chaos of Bernard and Kate's betrayal, and each day she felt herself growing stronger. But as she reached the car, her eyes fell on a figure slumped against a nearby wall. A man, clearly drunk, sat on the sidewalk, swaying slightly, his hand clutching a set of car keys. Concern flickered across Anna's face. She hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to approach him or walk away. Her instincts, however, wouldn't let her leave. "Are you all right?" she asked gently, stepping closer. The man barely lifted his head, his bloodshot eyes glazed over. He mumbled something incoherent, shaking the keys in his hand as if trying to stand up but failing miserably. "You can't drive like this," Anna said, her voice firm but kind. "Let me help you." At first, he waved her off, muttering slurred words of resistance, but Anna was persistent. After a few more minutes of coaxing and convincing, the man finally relented, leaning on her as she helped him to his car and canceling her ride. Once inside, she realized she had no idea where he lived. "Where do you stay?" she asked, but the man only groaned in response, his head lolling back against the seat. With no other choice, Anna decided to drive him to her apartment. She couldn't leave him out here on the streets, and he was in no condition to give her directions. The ride home was silent, save for his occasional groans and deep, tired breathing. When they arrived at her modest apartment, Anna struggled to get him inside, but she managed to settle him onto her couch. Exhausted, she stood back watching him sleep for a moment before retreating to her bedroom. The next morning, the man stirred, the bright sunlight filtering through the curtains, waking him from his alcohol-induced slumber. Confusion clouded his face as he sat up, looking around the small but cozy living room. Anna appeared in the doorway, holding a cup of coffee. "Good morning," she greeted softly. "You had a rough night." The man rubbed his temples, his head throbbing. I don't remember much. How did I end up here?" "You were pretty drunk," Anna explained. "I saw you outside the restaurant, and you couldn't drive, so I brought you here to sleep it off." He let out a deep sigh, shaking his head. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you through that." He looked down at his hands, his voice softening. It's just been a lot lately. I lost my wife a few years ago, and I've been trying to raise my daughter on my own. Work's been overwhelming, and last night, I just couldn't handle it. Anna's heart softened as she listened to him. There was something vulnerable about the way he spoke, the weight of his grief palpable in every word. "I'm sorry for your loss," Anna said quietly. "It sounds like you've been through a lot." The man nodded, then introduced himself. "I'm Daniel, by the way, and thank you for helping me last night." Anna smiled faintly. "It's no problem. Do you need a ride somewhere?" Daniel nodded again. "I need to see my daughter. She's at boarding school, and I've been putting off visiting her. It's just overwhelming sometimes." They exchanged numbers before Daniel left, and though it seemed like a fleeting encounter, something about it lingered with both of them. Over the next few weeks, they kept in touch. It started with casual text messages, checking in, making sure Daniel was doing all right, but soon it turned into lunches, conversations over coffee, and long walks by the beach. Each time they met, Daniel would surprise Anna with small gestures. A bouquet of flowers, a note slipped under her door, thanking her for being there when he needed someone the most. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, Anna finally opened up to Daniel about her past, the betrayal by Bernard, her best friend, Kate, and the struggles she faced starting over in this new town. Her voice trembled as she spoke, but Daniel gently took her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly, his gaze steady and reassuring. "What you went through didn't break you, and I'm here now with you, every step of the way." His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace, offering her the comfort she hadn't known she needed. Slowly but surely, Daniel began to fall for Anna. She was gentle, understanding, and patient, never pushing him to talk about his pain, but always ready to listen when he did. And in return, Anna found herself drawn to Daniel's kindness and quiet strength. It had been a long time since she had felt this way, since Bernard had shattered her trust. But Daniel was different. He didn't rush her, didn't make her feel pressured. He simply enjoyed her company, and for Anna, that was enough. As their connection deepened, Daniel offered Anna a position at his business, which had been struggling for a while. She took on a role as his assistant, helping him reorganize, streamline operations, and regain control of the company. Together, they spent long hours brainstorming ideas and building something new from the ashes of his failing business. Her encouragement gave him the motivation he'd lost, and before long, their business began to bloom, regaining all the trust of their investors. To thank her, Daniel surprised Anna by opening a boutique and restaurant in her name. It was a dream she had never imagined coming true. But the most meaningful moment came when Daniel finally introduced Anna to his daughter, Lily. At first, Lily was reserved, unsure about this new woman in her father's life, but Anna was patient. She didn't try to force a bond, but instead treated Lily with kindness, taking her shopping, cooking meals together, and sharing quiet moments. Slowly, Lily began to warm to Anna, seeing how much her father had changed since she came into their lives. The three of them started spending more time together, and before long, Anna felt like part of their family. It was everything she had dreamed of: a loving partner, a daughter to care for, and a business that flourished. As the days passed, Anna found herself letting go of the hurt Bernard had caused completely. She had moved on, her heart no longer burdened by the past. In the following year, Anna and Daniel got married in a small ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. Within a year, Anna gave birth to beautiful twin boys, and her life felt complete. Meanwhile, back in the city, things were far from perfect for Bernard and Kate. After Kate had divorced her husband and moved in with Bernard, the first few months had been blissful. They spent time traveling, enjoying vacations, and relishing the freedom of their newfound relationship. But the excitement soon faded. There was no real connection between them, no depth, no love. It was all superficial, and both of them felt it. Bernard's career began to crumble. Work was stressful, projects fell through, and the company's profits plummeted. He started to regret everything: the affair, leaving Anna, and now being with Kate. Worse still, Kate couldn't bear him a child, something that began to weigh heavily on their relationship. One day, as soon as Bernard walked through the door, Kate's icy glare met him. "Drinking again, Bernard? Is that your solution to everything now?" She snapped, her arms crossed tightly. Bernard, already frustrated from a long day, slammed the door shut. "Don't start, Kate. I've had a rough day." He reached for a beer, but Kate's voice cut through the silence like a knife. "Your whole life is a rough day now? You think I don't see it? You regret everything, cheating on Anna, being stuck with me, and now you just drown yourself in alcohol instead of facing it." Bernard turned to her, anger flashing in his eyes. "Don't bring her up. This is not about Anna. We both made choices, and now you're acting like this is all my fault." His voice cracked with frustration as he pointed at her. "You think I don't see how distant you've been? How you resent me because you can't give me a child?" Kate's eyes welled up, but she held her ground. "You're punishing yourself and blaming me for everything. You hate this life, Bernard, and you hate me for being a part of it." Bernard stood frozen, his chest heaving. "I don't know what I hate anymore," he whispered. "All I know is we're broken, Kate, and maybe we always have been." In a desperate attempt to escape the suffocating tension between them, Bernard decided to take a break from everything. He needed time to clear his head, to step away from the crumbling mess of his life. So, he drove out of the city, looking for a quiet place to relax. By sheer coincidence or fate, he ended up in the very town where Anna now lived. Unaware of her presence there, Bernard found himself visiting a small, charming restaurant on the outskirts of town. The food was good, the atmosphere peaceful, and it became a place of solace for him. One afternoon, as he sat in the corner of the restaurant, sipping his coffee, he glanced out the window and froze. There, walking down the street, was Anna. His heart leaped into his throat. After all these months, there she was, radiant, smiling, looking happier than he had ever seen her. But before he could make a move, before he could even call out to her, a man appeared beside her. Bernard's stomach twisted painfully as he watched Anna laugh and lean into the man's embrace, a little girl holding their hands with their twin boys. It was like a punch to the gut. All at once, Bernard realized what he had lost. Anna had moved on, built a life without him, found love where he had only left pain. And now, as he sat there, alone and full of regret, Bernard knew he had made the biggest mistake of his life. Everything he had thrown away for Kate, for fleeting pleasure, was gone forever. Anna had found happiness, and he was left with nothing.